So if you run a business and you're sitting there thinking to yourself, I know I need to post more, or I know I should be more active on social media, or I need to get content on my website or on YouTube or somewhere, but you have no idea what to post, I have some good news for you. What you actually have is not a content problem, but just a noticing problem. Because if we sort of take a step back and look at our business from a more external view, there are hundreds of video ideas sitting there ready to be made right now, every day in your business. So these are things that are right there on your job sites every day. These are the conversations you have with customers. These are the answers you're giving to questions from your team or from clients. This is the work that you're actually already doing, and it can be captured and converted into content. And you've got posts galore then. So a lot of businesses think that posting or social media content has to come from good ideas. Like, I've got to have a really killer idea in order to make a viral video that everybody's going to want to watch. And that's a kind of a daunting prospect. And that's where a lot of people, I think, get stuck. You know, they sit down and try to brainstorm or come up with something that is going to be clever or polished or original, or you're trying to copy something else that you've seen, but it comes off as inauthentic because it's not your idea. But the best content actually comes from, not these brainstorming sessions, but just from actually documenting the things that you normally do every day on your job sites. The best way for a new potential customer to see how great you are, or how good your business is, or how better their life will be after they work with you is to just simply see you doing that good work for another customer. So your business then is already producing useful, interesting, trust-building material every single day, and you just need to notice it and capture it. So I'm going to talk kind of specifically to contractors or home service professionals, but this really does apply if you are everything from a gym owner to a landscape company to a real estate agent to a crematorium. You know, everybody has the same general problems in terms of client acquisition, getting more leads, finding new customers, making your nut at the end of the day. But if you're a contractor or a home service professional, then your job sites are absolute content gold mines. Something like a before and after comparison works super well for things like landscaping or roofing or home renovations and things like that, because the before and after is a dramatic change generally. So that is great content. Addressing common problems or common questions with tips and tricks for homeowners. Things like if you install something in somebody's house and leave them a video that explains the aftercare for that product or installation. You know, how do I, as a homeowner, take care of this thing that you've now installed in my house that I paid money for? That is great video content. You fixing other mistakes that previous contractors or previous renovators have made is a great bit of instructional content that really positions you as an authority on the subject matter. So things like what materials or tools you recommend, advice like that coming from a professional to a consumer is invaluable and really does cement you as an expert in your field, and goes that extra step to building trust with a potential customer down the road. They already know you, they already trust you, they like things that you've said or tips that you've given them, and they're a whole lot more likely to buy from you at that point. Comparing approaches, why your approach maybe is better than your competitor's approach, or why you recommend a client goes with this product over this product. That is great content for video as well. And similarly, what is it that maybe a client should know or should do before you show up on a job site? That is great content to give out to somebody once they've signed a contract to employ you, to have you bring services to their property. Then you giving them some instructional content, some educational content about how to best prepare their house or the area for your crew to come in and do their work in the most efficient way. Great use for video. So all of this is not just work, and it's not just you capturing work on job sites, but it's proof, it's social proof that you know what you're talking about and that you show up and do more than you're expected to. It shows your standards, it shows your process, it shows your outcomes. And for a potential customer, if they're sitting on the fence about whether to pick you or the next person, those are the things that can tip you over the edge and become the choice for your local market. So the next place to look for good content really is in the conversations that you have. So what questions did you answer this week for customers? What did you have to explain more than once to your staff members? What objections came up maybe on a sales call? What confusions have you had to clear up, whether that's with customers or with staff? These are all scripts for videos. All of these things should be captured and converted into assets that will save you time down the road. If you're explaining anything more than a couple of times to groups of people who aren't all in the same room, then that could be a video asset, and it will save you, even if it's just a couple of minutes each time explaining that thing, it could save you hours down the road. So certainly well worth the investment. Because if one customer or one staff member asks you a question, that probably indicates that there are 100 others out there who have that exact same question. And then if you can position yourself as the person with the answer to that question, then that builds your authority right away and makes you an obvious choice when they're coming to pick a vendor. And then the third place I want to look is in the sort of daily activities of your business. So I think a lot of businesses separate the what we do, the doing the work part of your business from the marketing of the business. And they really don't need to be separated. Doing the work is marketing your business if you capture it and position it the right way. So things like loading the truck in the morning with your crew, walking through a finished project, doing an inspection afterwards, explaining why proper prep work matters, showing how you take the extra few minutes to protect a customer's home or plants or garden or wherever the work area is that you're actually doing your service. Introducing new staff members, it's a great way to use video to show your team being real human beings. If I'm hiring somebody to come and put a roof on my house, I'd like to know that they're personable and that what sort of people they are. They're going to be here for several days and I'm going to be seeing them a lot. So, show me the personalities of the people who you think are great workers. Even talking through your thought process to make a decision for a client about material to use or a technique to use, that is another way to really show your expertise in a particular area. And so the goal isn't to become, we don't have to overcomplicate this. The goal isn't to become a social media influencer or something crazy like that. The goal is just to become a little bit more visible, a little bit more familiar, a little bit more noticed, and therefore a little bit more trusted in your local market. And that's really all it takes to lift, whatever it is that you need, whether it's more leads or more customers or whatever. All of that flows out of things like familiarity and trust. So we need to reframe the question. It's not, what do I post this week? It should be, what work did we do this week? What processes did I explain this week? What problem did I solve for somebody this week? What hang-ups do my customers have when they're thinking about working with me? What do we wish people knew more about us? What would it be great for my customers to know before we start working with them? All of these questions are the content machine that pumps this out. You know, you don't even have to think about what should I be talking about. It's what questions did I answer? And that's exactly why I'm making this video today, because I was at a business breakfast thing this morning and this is what we were talking about, and I ended up talking and talking because this is sort of what I do and what I know. So if you're trying to brainstorm for ideas, or you're feeling stuck for content and you want to come up with a bunch of ideas, don't start with just a blank piece of paper and scratching your head and thinking about it. Start with looking at your calendar. What did I do this week? Start with looking at the job board. What jobs are we working on this week? Start with the conversations that you had with a client where they were asking you questions because they are legitimately concerned about their house or their investment, or the fact that they're about to drop 30 grand on a new roof with you or something. Look at the emails that are in your inbox. What are people asking you before they buy? Why are people hesitating? Why did they choose to not go with you for a particular job and go with your competitor instead? All those things, starting with those questions and activities that are already in your business, gives you 50 to 100 instant video ideas right out of the box without having to even do any brainstorming or thinking about it. And then once you start to reframe it like that, marketing stops being this sort of separate piece that's off to the side of your business that's just kind of yelling your advertising slogan into the void, and really becomes a lot more connected to what your business is actually doing on a day-to-day basis, whatever that is. And the two feed into each other that way. You know, one brings in more of the other, and the other feeds content into the first one. So they really do intermesh. So to boil it all down, real work creates real content, and real content creates real trust, which is going to win you the next job. All right, that's it for today. Thanks so much. If you like what you heard, or I said anything here that was remotely interesting to you, hit the subscribe button. Talk to you later. Thanks.